Hello, Master Manifester. Today we're talking about reverse manifestations, basically manifesting the opposite of what you asked for. For example, if you set an intention to manifest $1,000 and you get a bill for $1,000, or something happens to your car and you have to pay $1,000 or more sometimes, depending, on the situation. Or, you want to get a job and you just can't find anything, and then maybe you get the job and then it's the exact opposite of what you hoped the job would be. So let's talk about neuroscience and psychology and what might be happening to you and your body. So the first thing that I would think of is possibly unconscious self-sabotage, and this is usually socially based. You start unconsciously acting and perceiving in opposition with your intentions because you're still attached to the old social identities. Like maybe there's still people in your life that aren't comfortable with your changes, or sometimes you just don't want to let go of certain old identities. It might not even be other people, but it's usually socially based, even if it's just within yourself. It's that sort of expectation. And sometimes it's even inauthentic desires. Like it's not really something that you want, it's something you think you're supposed to want, or that you think will make you feel a certain way because you see other people feel, or you perceive that other people are feeling a certain way because they have this thing, right? We have this a lot with millionaires, right? We think that they have this most amazing life, and in some ways they do. They can do all of these things. They have freedom, they have, opportunity, but in other ways they have expectations, social expectations, and you know, a lot of restrictions can also be very restrictive. It can also be very fear-based, being worried about losing all of that, right? So it just depends on the situation. But other times, what it can be in psychology, there's a thing called extinction burst. And this is where, when you try to make a change to your program using affirmations, visualization, whatever method it is that you're using to retrain your unconscious mind and your identity, which is your predictive processing program, right? Predicts what you do. And when you try to change those things, your mind freaks out. Like your whole nervous system can freak out. But particularly what can happen is an extinction burst where, as the old program is dying out, it tries to reinforce itself really hard to see if it can get a reaction to start running again. It's almost like a toddler throwing a tantrum. No, 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 I must have this candy, right? Because it's still seeking the dopamine or the feel good hormones that you get from reinforcing your current program. Your body wants to be stable, your mind wants to be stable, right? It doesn't like change because change feels dangerous. Some changes it'll accept pretty easily. These are the things that we perceive that we manifest easily because they're really already part of our system. We just weren't particularly accessing them at that time. But then you also get these physical, emotional purges where you have your body identity that also wants stability and predictability. And when you start making unconscious changes and you start, making conscious changes, even, you're going to trigger intense sensations, emotions in your body. And the brain is going to interpret this as signals of danger. And it'll start trying to go to the old programs because it thinks, oh, we messed up. We got to go back. Right. And this is when you've got to stay calm and observe, okay, this is just the old program burning itself out. And when you start seeing it physically in your reality, you start perceiving these things, look at it first, be like, okay, yeah, that's there. This is something I've noticed. And then consciously start looking for new evidence of your manifestation actually coming through. Sometimes the evidence can just be that you feel calm about it. You're like, this is no big deal. We always take care of that. I know it's an illusion. That is a huge win when you get to that point. When you can see these, seemingly reverse manifestations, which is just you noticing that in your environment, right? Your brain's still hardwired for the old program, but you noticed that the old program was running and you know that it's running itself out. So you just reinforce the new program once you've noticed that, clear out any emotions in your body, and just allow things to transpire. Know that your story is underway. The old program has changed, and start, continue to look for evidence. You always want to be looking for evidence that you already have your attention, right? It's already there. It's just unfolding in your story. Now, other things that can happen just outside of, your social, mental, physical, interior world is you can get a lot of mixed messages from the media about what to want, about what to desire. And a lot of the time when that happens, you get unsatisfactory manifestations because you weren't really aligned with that thing. It just looked like success. And it can be very tricky. Some things are very subtle. It can be so subtle, but it limits the narrative of your potential of what could be your highest timeline, your highest possible state, your highest possible story. And the system is designed to keep you playing, not to win. It just wants to keep you engaged. And suffering can be very engaging. Misery, fear, it's all very engaging. But so can other things. Other things can be extremely engaging too. You just have to train your awareness to look at the other side of the spectrum and feel really good about, the things that you can notice that are aligned with what's coming or what's almost here and what's, technically already here. Time is a big ball of twine and you've already made it there somewhere at some point. So you're just moving towards that destination and recognizing that you've got that observer and you've got that character and you need to be both. Like I would say be your observer as much as you can. This is actually kind of hard to be the observer at first, but if you find yourself tipping and not spending time being this 3D character that is you, your identity program, you're going to start getting out of touch with, that beingness of the story. And you really want that. That's where the good stuff is. The beingness where we're feeling it. And yeah, sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad, but as long as the story is moving in the direction that you want, this is the reinforcement. This is the persistence. And our habits and behaviors are mostly automated by the brain and nervous system. And understanding this, it's based on cycles and stories. So when you practice accepting that reverse manifestations are feedback for fine tuning your story, and they're fine tuning your identity, you start finding evidence in yourself, in your external, that things are being updated. You can actively watch the updates, and it's cool as hell. So I hope this has helped you understand a little bit more biologically what's happening when we experience reverse manifestations. And I hope some of these tips have helped you to, accept and move past the parts of the story that are just teaching you what's moving by. The train's still moving. Remember that. We're always on the journey. We're always going. And we're always looking for the next results, looking for the best possible outcomes. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and sign up for the Method News newsletter in the description below.